The Nightmare Before Christmas. Undeniably one of the most iconic animated features in pop culture history. In fact, even if he didn't direct it, this is the movie that defines the Tim Burton style both in his art and as a cinematic auteur. What originally started as a poem back when Tim was working as an animator at Disney, his original idea that mixed several classic Christmas stories with some Halloween sprinkled into it grew significantly bigger into a feature film, gaining the additional help of numerous of artists and animators, Danny Elfman, Henry Selick, and Disney. Well, not really Disney, because they were worried if this was too scary for the kids, so they disguised themselves as Touchstone when they released the film. But little did they know that the picture became the global phenomenon that it is today, and now Disney ain't hiding anymore to show how proud they are to have in their collection possibly the most well-known stop-motion animated feature in history. But now that it's time for me to analyze this strange concoction of two of the most popular holidays, does this movie actually spark the feeling of cheer like Christmas? Or is it more the sense of fright like Halloween? Let's find out. The story. They say opposites attract, and that is what The Nightmare Before Christmas is all about. Taking two beloved holidays that are completely different from one another and mash them together to get the best of both worlds. In a way, this is a celebration of both that takes the elements of what people love the most about them in order to tell how one Halloween guy was once obsessed with understanding something that is unlike anything he's seen before, highlighting their traditions, festivities, and sense of excitement, all while mixing two things that shouldn't and somehow come out with something that works in its own weird way. What makes the story stand out and feel so engaging is the complete originality of it all. It embraces its unique aspects and its concept of having both Halloween and Christmas at the same time so that it could just go and have fun with it all. And that is the core of why so many people connect with this film. It mainly wants to have fun. It's not trying to convey some social commentary or a message or try to build itself up to be some major franchise. All it really wants to do is just play around with some holidays and present it as a wacky animated musical. Another thing that makes the movie so great is its tone that doesn't really take itself seriously. In a way, it knows very well what it wants to be. A bit similar to those animated Christmas specials like the ones from Rankin Bass, but giving it a dark twist in a way that both honors and satirizes them, resulting in the right blend of spookiness, wonder, and whimsy, but not too much that would make it feel overbearing and cheesy. But as great as the story can be in its originality and bringing viewers in for the fun, I'm gonna have to do something that many might find to be sacrilegious. I need to criticize something here. If there's one thing I have to criticize about this movie, it's the fact that it's a little too short for its own good. What I mean is that it has a running time of 1 hour and 15 minutes, just barely enough to have it be considered a feature film. And while it does have its benefits, like having no time to waste to get audiences straight into the action, it can often feel like it's rushed and give little time to breathe before jumping into the next big moment, especially towards the end when Jack has to right what he wronged. Not only can it feel like some scenes can go too quickly, but it also ends up leaving a lot of questions unanswered regarding some moments and the characters. Like, why is Oogie Boogie a villain? What's with the romance if they barely talked about it? Why does it seem a little too easy for Jack to confront Oogie? The movie would have really benefited from having an extra 15 or 20 minutes to have time to flesh out its character development and some scenes further in order to tie up those loose ends. But then again, if the only real complaint is that there should be more of it, then there must be something this movie did right, and for what it did right, it supplied one of the most engagingly creative stories in an animated film. The animation. Like I said before, one of the big goals is to be like those Rankin Bass cartoons, but have Tim Burton give his own artistic touch to deliver a unique animation style that defines his works. It's weird, a little creepy, and more abstract, yet has this oddball charm that presents something that's intriguingly different. It uses stop motion as its medium, and it really wants to show off that it is one. It doesn't try to really smooth out its movements or hide the lines that show the parts that are interchangeable. Again, it knows very well what it is, and it mainly just wants to have fun with it, especially when it has all those musical numbers.
Ah, you're joking! You're joking! I can't believe my ears! Would someone shut this fella up? I'm drowning in my tears!
However, at the same time, it supplies a large amount of different effects to help upgrade its look and include some great looking experiments like the natural elements, the use of bugs, Zero, and some extra hand-drawn animation like with the ghosts. On its own, it's very well animated, but there is one component that's one of the best things about this movie. Something that is a key factor to what helps this be so engaging. The world building. This is a very immersive feature, and it's mainly thanks to how the film visually depicts the holidays, showing them as their own unique worlds where they burst out the spirit of their celebration. Technically, it only shows some of Christmas Town and spend most of its time in Halloween Town, but they are enough to get viewers into these worlds and highlight what people in there love to do most. In Christmas Town, the environment is joyful, cartoony, and very colorful, almost like something out of a Christmas card. In Halloween Town, the colors are more muted and dead, with lines of black mostly taking over. Everything is unusually twisted and disproportioned, and every inhabitant has their own unique design that really makes them stand out from one another. Some could say that its art style would be tough to visually pull off in a way that is grand and inviting. And yet, this movie pulled it off very well that allowed the film to make the most out of its designs and sets where it's hard to find a shot where it wouldn't be considered memorable or iconic. Yes, it is a weird looking film, but that's what makes it an amazing looking film, and part of the movie's charm is the great craftsmanship that went into the animation. The characters. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a case where it has an entire town filled with memorable characters. Even if they would count as an extra, everyone was given their own little personality and function to how they enhance their respective holiday, especially the people at Halloween Town that feature a wide variety of monsters and happy haunts. However, there are a few that the movie does focus a lot more that play a major role in Halloween Town's periodic Christmas obsession. This is especially the case with the Pumpkin King that is mainly responsible for this, Jack Skellington. After years of doing the same thing over and over, Jack began to grow tired of his Halloween routine. When discovering Christmas, it gave him a new purpose to figure out its meaning and how to convey that sense of joy he had onto his fellow monsters. Sure, his passion and excitement can be to a fault where it would blind him from realizing what could go wrong, even when Sally tries to tell him about the warning signs, but this is the first time he felt so alive and have motivation to do something great with his community. In a way, Jack is quite relatable for when we feel like our regular lives are empty and need to fill that with something different, something new that could give meaning to ourselves again.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.
Yeah, I guess so. Just like last year, and the year before that.
Then there is Sally, a living ragdoll created to be the servant of Dr. Finkelstein. But due to her restless curiosity and how the doctor can be quite abusive, she often escapes to explore around Halloween Town and catch up to where Jack is. But then there is that romance between the two. I get that the film wants to use it as Sally's motivation to go out, but this is one of those things that the short running time hindered on because it doesn't explore it as much as it probably should. In fact, Sally doesn't reveal her love to Jack until close to the hour mark, and never once did Jack show that he might have feelings for her until the very end. I know there is a point, but the execution kind of made it feel like a last-minute add-on. But that is nothing compared to Oogie Boogie. I'll say it right now, Oogie has all the requirements to make an awesome villain. He's got a great design and concept with his bugs, a strong personality thanks to the help of Ken Page's performance, some fun henchmen with the mischievous trick-or-treaters Lock, Shock, and Barrel, and the casino theme gives him something that he could really play around with. The only integral thing he's missing is a motive to why he's evil. At the most, the only reason the movie gave about his villainy is
because Mr. Oogie Boogie is the meanest guy around.
Okay, but why though? He's got all the right stuff, but weird that the feature forgot to bring up either a backstory to why he was exiled from the town or a goal that motivates him to be against Jack and the gang. Again, a few more minutes could have helped explain some of those things. But it's too bad the movie had to be in such a hurry. But even with those unanswered questions, the personalities featured are great, and a perfect explanation to why every resident from the Pumpkin King to even that weird guy with the 360 mouth is lovably recognizable. The songs. If it's not Jack's adventure of discovering Christmas, if it's not the unique animation, and if it's not all the characters, then it's the songs that people remember the most about this movie. Each musical number is not only an integral part of the feature to highlight either a major plot point or significant characters, but to also help enhance the holiday cheer of either Christmas or Halloween, all with the playful and whimsical style of Danny Elfman to emphasize the movie's tone. There are a few that are to celebrate their respective holidays, like This Is Halloween and What's This, but there are also those that mix the two together, like the town meeting song and Making Christmas.
Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? What's this? What's this? There's color everywhere. What's this? There's white things in the air. What's this? I can't
Sets out to sleigh with his reindeer on, carting bulging sacks with his big Christmas, baking Christmas, la la la.
But for the most part, the songs are meant to put a spotlight onto the characters, most namely Jack, Sally, and Oogie Boogie. Sally and Oogie don't have a whole lot, where there's just Sally's song where she reveals her love to him that might be for naught, and Oogie has the Oogie Boogie song and Kidnap Mr. Sandy Claus that are both meant to present how evil he is and his plan to get rid of Santa.
Mr. Oogie Boogie says there's trouble close at hand. You better pay attention now.
Kidnap the Santa Claus, lock him up real tight. Throw away the key and then turn off all the lights.
But then there is Jack, whose songs present that he is the star of the show. Not only was he featured in some of the songs I already mentioned to bring Christmas to Halloween Town, but he also sings to truly let out his feelings, which is the case with Jack's Lament, Jack's Obsession, and Poor Jack.
Oh, there's an empty place in my bones. Something here I'm not quite getting, though I try, I keep forgetting, like a memory long since past.
What the heck? I went and did my best, and by God, I really tasted something swell.
There are different ways people can interpret these songs, either to get into the spirit of the holidays, personal reflection, or just to have fun with them, but they all lead to the same conclusion that the whole soundtrack helped them define the movie's identity. This movie has managed to do the unthinkable by combining Halloween with Christmas. And while they probably don't mix well together, they do help create one of the most creative and beloved animated features in history. The Nightmare Before Christmas is a true animated classic that can arguably be one of the most original and creative pieces of animation out there. It may not be perfect due to its short running time, causing the film to leave some important questions unanswered, but it still managed to pull off an amazing feature with a fun-filled original story, stellar stop-motion animation, a whole cast of beloved characters, and unforgettable songs that turn the movie into a holiday experience unlike any other. To this day, many fans debate when it's the best time to be watching this movie, either around Halloween or around Christmas. Technically, there is no such thing as a bad time to watch this movie, but if you ask me, the best time to watch it is anywhere in the fourth quarter of the year. Any time between the month of October and December will help you prep up for whatever holiday is coming up. While not either from Disney Animation or Pixar, it still stands as one of the most important animated features to come out of Disney with a legacy that only few could match. It's no surprise that it's one that gets the Animat seal of approval, but most importantly, it's no surprise either that it is now in the ranks of the holiday classics. Which holiday? You can pick whichever. And that is the beauty of this film. Hey guys, this is Animat, and I want to start things off by giving out a huge thanks to Ryan Walterson, whose amazing support on Patreon allowed him to get some amazing rewards, including this one, where he got to go and ask me to review The Nightmare Before Christmas. And even though it is a short film, it is still a wonderful film. And what's actually very interesting with this movie is that there are a few more arguments people would still have to this day regarding the movie. Now, I've already mentioned about when is it the best time to check it out, and I've already put my opinion onto it. But then there is also another major argument that people would still have to this day, and that is regarding who should be the person that should truly be credited for creating The Nightmare Before Christmas. Because technically, yes, the title of it is Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, but technically Tim Burton is not the one who actually directed it. That would be Henry Selick. So from there, a lot of people are debating who should be the one that should be credited for making the movie itself. Is it Tim Burton or is it Henry Selick? And there are both sides of the argument where they actually bring up some very strong points. Because on one hand, when you do look at Tim Burton, he's the one that is credited to actually be the creator of The Nightmare Before Christmas, where he would actually go and develop the whole concept of it all. He's the one that thought up the idea in the first place, like long before it even turned out to be a movie. He's the one that actually combined the two of Christmas and Halloween. He's the one that thought up of characters like Jack and Zero, and he's the one that thought up of a little bit of the story, of the narrative of Jack being obsessed with Christmas and stuff like that, even though he is a lot more of a Halloween guy. So technically it is more his idea of the movie, not to mention that this is his art style, that technically Tim Burton is the one that developed the concept of the visuals of Nightmare Before Christmas, where it has his fingerprints all over it. This is his art style. This is his drawings coming to life in the form of stop motion. So both visually and its concept, it is definitely from Tim Burton. But then you would have Henry Selick on the other hand. Because with Tim Burton, at the time, he was the hot new director people would really freak out about. But during the making of The Nightmare Before Christmas, Tim Burton was really not there a whole lot. He was a producer, but he was only there to check up on stuff for a few days, and then he would go and move out to go and work on some other live action projects that he would go and direct at the time. Henry Selick, on the other hand, he is the one that is credited to be the director and fully take helm on the project. And when you do look at The Nightmare Before Christmas, you could definitely tell that a lot of the approach of the narrative of it, the approach of the stop motion, it really is a lot more like Henry Selick, mainly because of the fact that you look into his later films that he would direct, especially the stop motion ones, stuff like James and the Giant Peach and Coraline, you could tell that a lot of that sense he had in Nightmare Before Christmas are also very prominent in those two films individually. So from there, you can actually have a sense of an idea of how Henry Selick would direct, and a lot of them would actually be prominent in The Nightmare Before Christmas. So the big question would be, who should be the one that should be credited to create the movie itself? Is it really Tim Burton or is it really Henry Selick? Well, if I would go in and put my opinion on this, honestly, it is a little bit of a tricky question because after all, this is an animated project after all. And as we all know, animation is a whole group effort. We know that with The Nightmare Before Christmas, it's not just one person actually developing the whole thing in one major go. This is actually a whole group of artists and animators who work together in order to go and create this massive world of The Nightmare Before Christmas. But who should be considered the leader in this case? It is more of a tough call per se. Personally, maybe I would lean a little bit more towards Henry Selick for developing the movie itself, but technically, it's not wrong to say that The Nightmare Before Christmas belonged to Tim Burton because it was his idea after all. It's a little bit of a complicated issue, but overall, I think like the easiest answer to say is everyone who has worked on the movie. Technically, they're the ones who are credited for actually making The Nightmare Before Christmas that we all know and love. Okay, so now with that done, now that we are done with those two holidays, I think it is now time that we shall go and move on to the animation hat. And before I go and pick the next animated film to review, I would just like to go and say, if you like to be like Ryan and you want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards at the same time, including but not limited to actually seeing my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to go and suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then just write me an email at animatreviews@gmail.com. Alright, so now let's see what we can go and pick. It's gonna be a tough act to follow. Like, only very few animated films. Ah, crap, something fell. I'll pick that up later. I got something. Actually, screw that. No, I'll pick it up right now. There we go. It's gonna be a tough act to follow after Nightmare. So the next review shall be... hold on. Okay, I got it. Let's see now. Okay. This is gonna be interesting, actually. This is gonna be very interesting to check out. I don't know if a lot of you have actually seen this film, but it is a very notable one. Very artistic and abstract, even. I wouldn't say it's a Don Hertz movie, but I would say it's probably the animated film that was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature that is the closest to the style of Don Hertzfeldt. Which one is it? Well, I'll leave you guessing for that one.
Happy Halloween! Merry Christmas!